Hi, my name's Mary Elliston. I'm here to talk to you on behalf of the University of Birmingham. Today I'm going to be talking about how to choose a course and a university that's right for you. So I'm well aware that there are a whole host of different options out there when you finish school, and university isn't the best option for everyone. You can go on and do an apprenticeship, you can go on into the world of work and get a job, but I'm here to talk to you today about university solely and how to weigh up the different options that are out there and are available to you. So, the first point I'd like to make, and potentially the most important point, is that you must make and choose the right course at the right institution for you. So the decision is completely up to you, and the thing to be aware is that there are a whole host of different institutions out there. I'm here to speak to you on behalf of Birmingham University, but the whole talk today will be very unbiased and objective and just outlining how to choose between the different options available to you. Okay, so there are a whole host of different options out there for you. So you can choose from over 300 different places where you want to go and study. So that doesn't mean that there are over 300 universities in the UK, but that just means that there are over 300 places where you can go and study. So that might mean a college or a further educational institution, a place where you can study at a higher level, right? As well as there being a whole host of different places where you can go and study, there are also a number of different courses that you can go and study at a higher level. In fact, there are over 30,000 courses that you can study at a high level. So that is an enormous amount of choice available to you. And at times that might feel a little bit disconcerting because there's so much choice, but out of those 30,000 courses, how are you going to narrow it down? How are you going to decide which would be best for me and which is the right course for me? So hopefully by the end of this talk, you'll have a little bit more of a sense of that. How are you going to choose the course that you want to study? That's what we're going to talk about for the first bit. For the second half, I'm going to talk a little bit about the institution and how you narrow that down. But this first little bit's about the course and how you're going to narrow that choice down. So firstly, I'd like to encourage you all to think outside the box, think creatively. I'm sure you won't be able to name 30,000 courses out there. I can't even name sort of maybe 10, 15, 20, 100. But so that what that means is that there are a whole host of courses that you can study that you're not aware of. So by thinking outside the box, thinking creatively about what you can study at a higher level is a really good place to start. So you can see here there's a number of different degrees that you can study. So you can study to be a DJ, you can study baking science and technology, surf technology and science. So there are a couple of different degrees that you can study at a high level that maybe you're not aware of at the moment. After you've thought a little bit creatively about the course that you want to study and you want to narrow your options down a little bit more. So I've included 4 key areas how you're going to narrow down your options and how you're going to weigh up what you want to study at university. So a first question that you might want to ask yourself is, do you want to study something completely new? And that would be those subjects that you're not studying at the moment. So that's surf technology. I don't know a school that you can study at GCSE, surfing science and technology. If there is a school out there, it's a school I want to go to for sure. But that is a new course and a new option for you. So I'd encourage you to sort of pursue different interests outside of what you're already studying at the moment. So think, what am I interested in my daily life? What sort of media do I sort of engage with? Are there any sort of magazines that I read and engage with? And am I interested in a particular area around that? How can I learn more about that? And how can I pursue my interests outside of my studies that I'm currently doing at GCSE, at A-levels, at BTECs? So thinking outside of that is the first sort of key point that I'd like to make. But another way in which you can narrow down what course you want to study at a higher level, and it's how I sort of decided what I wanted to study at my degree, is just my favourite subject in school. So it was English literature, so a subject that I was really enjoying and engaging with, and I just wanted to learn more about that subject, and that's how I chose my degree that I wanted to study at a higher level. And I wouldn't discourage against that. It's just if you want to engage more in the subject that you're studying, and that's why you'd want to choose that at a higher level. And then another question you might want to think about and weigh up is, do you have a specific career in mind? So have you thought really carefully about the future and you know that you want to go on and be a doctor or a physiotherapist? Those are some examples of careers that actually require a certain specific higher education degree. So to be a doctor, you need a degree in sort of medicine and surgery. So you have that foundational knowledge that will really help you in that specific role. So it's really important that you do a little bit of research if you have a specific career in mind, because you don't want to narrow down your options. You don't want to think that I have this career in mind, I'll study a subject in something else, and then it gets to the stage that you won't be able to get into that career because you don't have the required subject that you need to get into that field of work. However, there is a point that I would like to make in terms of your career and how to choose a course related to the options that it will leave open for you. So it's really important to be aware that the majority of university degrees will leave the doors open for you, and they will leave a lot of options open for you. So you might think, and a lot of students ask me, what can I do with X degree in X area? So I've taken this example, what career options are there for an English graduate, something quite pertinent to me. There are a lot of options out there, and some examples here of different areas that you might want to go into after studying an English degree. So you can see on that list, digital copywriter, publishing, secondary school teacher. So there are a number of different options available. However, this list really narrows it down a bit too finitely. So what I would say, and to be aware of, that the options for a graduate are really wide open. So you can see this stat on the screen from Target Jobs. So Target Jobs is a recruitment agency where it advertises different jobs available to you. So they did a research from all the different job adverts out there. And from their research, they found that more than 70% of employers do not specify what degree subject you need in their job advertisements, okay? So what that means is on the first line of a job advertisement, it won't actually necessitate you need a degree in this subject, so you need a degree in law, but they will require a degree or a specific classification of degree, a 2-1 or a first. So that just emphasises that by studying a degree in a specific subject, it doesn't actually mean that you have to go on and work in a field that's directly related to that subject. A degree just opens the doors for you and will help you think about things in different areas and really probe those interests. And from that degree, you'll have a lot of transferable skills that you can apply to the world of work. So if you are a little bit concerned, I'm not sure what I want to do with this degree, but I know I would like to study at a higher level, I wouldn't let this put you off at all. Okay, another really important note to make when you're deciding what course you want to study is that it's really important to go into the fine detail and to do your research in terms of what it means to study that subject at that institution. So I've got this example on the board here. So spot the difference, if you can, between these two courses. So both at the same institution, the University of Leicester, both studying economics. However, they are different types of degree. So you've got a Bachelor of Arts and a Bachelor of Science. So this just emphasises that even though you might have a place that you want to go and a degree in mind, it's really important that you go into the fine detail of what it means to study that specific course. So I've taken from the website here a short description of these different courses. So you can see that for the Bachelor of Science, the entry requirements are different. So you need to have an A-level in mathematics. And then for the Bachelor of Arts, you don't actually need that A-level. You only need up to GCSE level. So first thing to really look for when you're doing your research is to look at the entry requirements, because you don't want to get too far down the line, too invested in a course that you want to study if you then realise that you can't study that course at higher level because you don't fit the entry requirements for any reason. So really important that you look closely and carefully at what the entry requirements are. So after you've done that, then you can get into a bit more of the meat, what it means to study that course at that institution. Okay, so you can see here the Bachelor of Science is about the theoretical and mathematical techniques that you need to become an economist, whereas for the Bachelor of Arts, it's a lot more about developing the real world skills that you'll need to become an economist. So where the Bachelor of Science a little bit more theoretical, Bachelor of Arts a little bit more vocational, applying it to real world problems and issues. So that is how the difference between those two courses can be shown. Okay, so that just emphasises that point. It's really important to do your research prior to deciding what course you want to study at higher level. And another thing to be aware of as well is even if you have a specific degree in mind, if you go on to study that at a different institution, the degree itself will be very different. So if you go on and study engineering at Nottingham and engineering at Birmingham, the content of those degrees will be very different. Something I didn't really research before, but I really encourage you to have a look and compare and contrast the different courses that are available to you. So where can you find this information? If you have a look on UCAS, it's a really good source. They go into a lot of detail about the different courses out there. And a really good source is each institution's specific website. It'll involve a little bit more work from you, sifting through and have a look at the different courses. But I'd really encourage you to look at the different institution websites and to delve a little bit more deeper into what it means to study that course at that institution. So there are a few words and phrases that might come up from your reading and from your research that you're not familiar with. So I've included this slide as a bit of a jargon buster because a lot of the terms that are used to describe higher education that you won't be familiar with. Okay, so start with the first one, what it means if you're studying and taking part in seminars as part of that course. So the easiest way to understand a seminar is very similar to a classroom environment. However, the difference might be in that you have to prepare and come fully ready to debate and argue and question and query the different academics and the different research that you've had to have done prior to that seminar. So whereas you come to a class very much to learn from your teacher, you come to a seminar ready to engage and to challenge the specific academics that you're looking at. Okay. Another way in which you might learn your degree course is in a tutorial. So the easiest way to understand a tutorial is that it's a little bit of a smaller version than a seminar. So you have personal tutor meetings and one-on-one, and your tutorials will be with a sort of smaller group of people. So seminars, depending on the institution, between sort of 10, 15, 20 perhaps. A tutorial likely to be between sort of 5, 6, 7, up to 10 perhaps. It gives you an opportunity to delve a little bit deeper and to ask questions in a more informal setting than a seminar. Another word that might come up when you're doing your research is contact hours and contact time. And this basically means how much time you have at university in specific seminars and lectures and tutorials. So the actual contact time, so how it equates to you have sort of 5 lessons within school, that's your contact time in school every day. At university, it's a little bit different. So you will tend to have less contact time depending on the sort of subject that you want to go to and the field that you're interested in. So typically, if you want to go into an arts subject, sort of your history, philosophy, theology, that sort of area, you will have less actual time with your lecturers, with the academics. Whereas if you want to go on and study physics or medicine, those subject areas, you'll have a little bit more time with your lecturers, with the academics, to learn and get that experience. However, it doesn't mean that those subjects you'll be doing a little bit less work. It just means that it's going to be more independent work and research as part of the arts-based disciplines compared to on the other end of the spectrum. Another word that you might come across that you haven't heard before is a lecture. So easiest way to understand that is if it equates to an assembly that you would have in school where your head of school or a teacher will just talk to you for half an hour, and in a lecture, you'd be writing down notes furiously, if you can, to pick up everything that the academic and the lecturer is saying in that setting. So it's a really good way to learn from their understanding and their in-depth knowledge of the course that they are studying. Okay, so another thing that you might want to think about when deciding the type of degree is what type of degree you want to study, okay? So whether that be a single honours subject, so traditionally they'd be 3 years, and you'd just go for one subject and learn about that in a lot of depth and detail. There are also joint honours subjects available where you can combine 2 different subjects in one degree, so your time will be split between the 2 different subjects that you're chosen. But you can also choose different ways of studying as well. So this might be, it's in the American style of learning, but you can also study in this way in the UK in a major-minor way of studying. So your major would be the subject that you're sort of really, really interested in and you want to learn more about, but your minor is a subject that you have a little bit more interest in. So how it works would be around 2/3 of your study would be with your major and 1/3 would be with your minor subject. So it's a major minor. These are a little bit less common in the UK, but there are still a few different options out there for you. And there are a couple of different ways as well that you can add on an extra year to your university experience. So you might want to go and study a year abroad somewhere. So some of my friends went to France, Spain, Japan, China. It's a great opportunity for you to gain an understanding of a different culture, but you'd also be studying as well during that year abroad. There are opportunities as well for you to work during that year abroad, but it wouldn't just be a year of you living in France and having a lovely life, eating lots of baguettes. It would be an opportunity for you to do some extra learning or work as well. Another option, which is quite popular, is the option for an industrial placement. So you can work a year as part of your degree to get that extra experience that would stand you in good stead for the world of work. So that extra year would really be helpful. And you can also go on, if you loved your degree, if you want to take it further, you can go on and study a master's course or a PhD course and do some further learning, some further understanding around the subject that you are interested in. So there's lots of different types of degrees out there for you to choose from. I've talked a little bit about how to decide the course in which you want to study. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about how to decide the place where you want to study. Okay, so there are a lot of different things that you might want to think about when weighing up where you want to study and the institution where you want to study. So what type of institution is it? The two biggest types and categories in which we describe university institutions are as a campus university or as a city university. So a campus, all the buildings will be in one area, whereas a city, they'll be sort of spread out amongst the city and it's more sort of integrated as part of that city. So Birmingham, we're a campus university. An example of a city university, typically the London universities are sort of city-based. So sort of your UCL, your Kings are spread amongst the city. Okay, another thing that you might want to think about, your accommodation. What's the accommodation like? So if you have a look at the flats prior to attending that institution, you can see whether they're single sex, they're mixed sex, the size of them. So you might want to be in a flat of 4. I was in a flat of 13 people. So a really big flat where you get to know more people. I say that to some students and they're like cringe. They can't imagine sharing a bathroom with that many different people. But I loved it, and it really depends what you want from your accommodation. Another thing, the facilities. So you might have a real interest in a sport or a club that you want to join at university. It's worth having a look whether that institution offers the clubs and the facilities that you need to pursue all of your interests at higher education. So having a look at the sporting facilities and the different sort of societies that are available at that institution as well. Another thing to think about is the different support that's available to you. So we're really aware that the jump from school to university can be a little bit daunting. You're going from to a higher level of academic learning, so that jump is a little bit harder. And if you go on as well to live in university accommodation, you're going to be moving away from home for the first time. So it is a little bit of a jump, and you may need some support to help you with that jump and throughout that time at university. So different universities do their student support in different ways. So at Birmingham, we've got sort of personal tutors, counsellors available. We've got a nightline you can ring. But that's just Birmingham. Different institutions do different things. So it's worth having a look at that if you so wish. So another thing you might want to think about, and perhaps the most important thing, is where that institution is. So I came to study at Birmingham from Leeds, and I sort of crossed off all the ones, the really deep south universities, so your Exeter, your Plymouths, because that didn't suit me. I wanted to be a little bit closer to home. But for you, you might want to really spread your wings and you might want to go to somewhere as far north as possible. You might want to study up at Inverness or in Scotland somewhere. But it's important to think about where that university is and how easy will it be for you to get home, if you want to get home easily, or what that actual place is like. So I was drawn to Birmingham because it's a really big, booming city, and I wanted to be sort of close to a city centre when I was studying. But you might want to be somewhere a little bit more rural and be in a different part of the country. So it's worth considering where that institution is. Okay, so I've talked a little bit about the course and what you can study and how to weigh up which course is right for you. I've talked a little bit about the institution and how you're going to weigh up the different institutions and different things to think about as well. But my overarching point that I'd like to make is that I made it right at the start. It's about what you want, and it's about making the right choice for you in terms of the different institutions that you can go for and the different places that you can study. And it's about thinking what is important to you. So for me, I said the accommodation really wasn't that important when deciding where I want to study. But for you, the accommodation might be really important. So once you've decided what is important to you, you can then see if that institution or that course fulfills those requirements. Okay? So it's about what is important to you. You can also have a look online on social media. So I've included some Instagram accounts here of our social media bloggers at the university. So you can have a look at the different institutions from the comfort of your own bed, even ask them a few questions on Instagram and online. A great way to see what a university is really like. Other research you want to do, have a look on the internet. I've included some different websites where you can go. So UCAS, Discover Uni, and Which University. These are really good resources that provide different overviews of the courses that you can study at university and the institutions themselves. So lots of extra reading and research that you can do following this talk to really help you decide where you want to go and what you want to study. Thank you so much for listening to the talk today. Hopefully now you have a greater understanding of how to choose the right course at the right institution for you.